There we go. Restart the stream real quick, and we should be back up and running. Hopefully. Anyway, yeah. So last time I was working on master plan. It was shaping up really well, actually. Let's take a look at that. And while I'm doing that, let me also pull up some music. So we're gonna do both of those things. I'm like, you can see me like looking for the what am I looking for here? Yeah. So right. So yeah, this little portable monitor is cool. It's cool to have. There we go. And my computer is different as well. Just some slight differences, slight changes. Nothing too crazy. Let me do something real quick. I just want to check on something momentarily. Yeah, it's not war. Oh, actually, hold on. That's probably why. Let me uninstall that. You know what? Hold up. Let me restart VS Code. Yeah, something's interesting about VS Code. Like I have this set up so that it's supposed to be blurring stuff and it just does not do it. There we go. It's still not working. I'm not sure why. Like it just does not blur this specific zone. Like anything underneath the anything underneath the VS Code. I'm not sure why. Makes it transparent, but not, it doesn't blur it. That's weird and unusual. All right, well, there's not much I can do about that. Yeah, because this does not work. Okay. Anyway, what I'm gonna do. Yeah, what I'm gonna do is just ignore that. Give me a second. That's fine. Okay, so yes, right. So let me pull up master plan to see what we did last stream. We did some cool stuff, making things easier to use. Zoom in a little bit. So the main thing we did on the last stream was the ability, basically tweaking and working on the ability to snap things to a map card, which is this guy. So basically you can make things and then snap them to the card, and then when you move the card, the map card, everything else moves with it, which is very useful. You can do, it's like Shift V? Or no. Let me see. There's a certain key combo that we added. Since when has the search box been broken? That is like brand spanking new that it's not working. Okay. We'll fix that. Apparently, because it's not working. Search. Oh, okay. I made some changes. This is supposed to be visible collapsed. There we go. Okay. So yeah, when you type in map, now we can see to smart scale left shift X. So we can create a map, we can create some cards, and then we can select them all and press shift X. And then it'll smart scale. It'll move the map and pin it. Move the map to surround the cards and pin the cards to the map. So now when you move the map, you move the cards too. So that's very useful because you can do complex stuff like this and then just pin it smart scale so that basically it becomes a board of sorts. Very cool, very useful. Yeah, very useful indeed. Love a lot of this. I love a lot of this system. This is really cool. Feels very dynamic, I guess you could say. Now, something that I noticed is this, where scaling a card, the map card, like scales the texture. I guess that's fine, but at the same time, I kind of feel like that's wrong. Also, I can't redo after I undo when I smart scale, which is unusual. So like if I make a map, put some cards, smart scale, undo, redo. Maybe if I move it. Yeah, like it's not, it like, I can't redo past that. So that's something else to fix. Oh, whoops. So anyway, that's something I gotta think about. I gotta work on that. Other than that, I've been working on GUI some more, which is getting pretty good. Just doing tweaks and improvements and changes and stuff like that. So like this example, I think I mentioned, I showed this off last time, but basically just making GUI stuff easier to make and work with in Heavy Tension. So far, it's pretty good. I've been implementing it into my adventure game here. Oh, brother, why are you walking? Oh, my. My controller was tweaked. Okay, so yeah, implementing the inventory system. So this is working pretty good. So there's a couple things I think would be cool. One is if I position this little label up. Also, the label probably shouldn't be scrolling. Man, I'm just thinking about stuff. So anyway, let me do a couple things here. Let me do a couple things here. I don't want the frame to scroll like that. Hold up. Let me see if I can do something here. Move this over here. Ooh, a third monitor goes crazy, dude. Hold up. We got some stuff to do here. Hold up. Let me just put this here. That's probably a good place. All right. And then I can move OBS down here. Ooh. Oh my goodness. I can see OBS while I'm streaming. Hold up. I got to lock in. I gotta lock in, brother. Hold up. All right. Let me do something like this. Okay, I gotta tighten my thing somehow. But anyway, I'm just trying to like get this into a good position. This is interesting, having so much screen real estate. It's so nice having just that extra screen for streaming. Okay, so I don't want the screen here to scroll. I don't want this. Rather, I don't want this to scroll, this label. So we'll see what we can do about that in a little bit. Let me just ban and report this chatbot. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, I don't want this to have this scrolling background, so we're gonna do something about that. We are going to go over here. Let me actually look at GUI.png. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so what we're looking, whoops. what we're looking for here is this here. That is a 48. Okay. So we're going to work with this little box, I guess. I guess. Yeah, it should be fine. I guess that's fine. 0.48. Okay. So we're going to make our own frame here for this. This. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. Okay, so 0.48, 48, 48. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, so now this is not scrolling anymore. Do I want it to be any brighter or something? I feel like I kind of do. Both for the grid elements. Yeah, the grid elements, they need to be brighter. Let me pull up a sprite real quick. I gotta get used to this flow, man. This is just for that, so I'm gonna repurpose this. Let me think about what this should look like. Okay. Do I want it to be brighter? Maybe I want them both to be brighter. Like maybe I want this frame to be brighter. Let's try that. Let's make this a little down a little further. I want this to be a brighter too. That feels better. Yeah, it feels better. Maybe I can make these more rounded. Oh, I forgot the textures and stuff reload. Okay. Hold up. I guess it's fine. It feels weird. I'm not sure. Maybe it's too bright now? I don't know. It feels odd. I'm not sure exactly why it feels odd. What if I made it dark? What if I made them... I'm gonna leave this actually the way it is, but what if I do something like this instead? I think I want them to be dark. That might be better, actually. I mean, that's essentially the same thing as what this is just a circle. Well, but if we put it an icon in there, it might be a little small. Make it smaller, I guess. We gotta shave off a bit. Tiny little icons. Maybe that could work. Okay. So let's say that this was what it looked like. So if that is what it looked like, then the buttons would look more like this. Okay, make that small. Instead of 0.48, yeah, now it's 96. 16 by 16. It's not a 9 patch. They're just ordinary little images. Oops. Oh, whoops, that's not what I'm... Yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. That's still the same. Instead, it should be... Where's the icon? It's this guy, 96. 16. Let's see. Let's see what this looks like. Oh yeah, no 9 patch. I was like, why is it stretching still? That goes a little crazy. That goes a little crazy. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Let's see. Let's do it 48. Okay, that's better. This was transparent before. That could have gone crazy. Transparent could have worked. What if this were reversed, so that instead of it being light on the inside, what if it were light on the outside? And then this was dark. That would add a little bit more contrast. To the item in between. I feel like that's a little better, but it's a little cramped with the item in the center. So what if there was no outline? I'm trying to iterate on this concept because I can't talk. I'm trying to iterate on this concept because I do want to try different things to, make sure it would work. So I'm not trying to just be like, that's good enough. I'm like, well, you know, I need to try these things to see what the end result would look like. Give me. I'm trying to just get a nice middle blend there. Okay, so we're gonna try this to see. How this looks. Okay. I wanted to kind of like anti-alias it a little bit, but it's not really popping the way I hoped it would. I think that could work, but it doesn't stand out as something you can select. What if we were to just leave it like that? Yeah, no, I need some kind of outline, I think. So I think I'm on the right track there. So I already tried a lighter outline, yeah. And the issue with that, I mean, that kind of works, but it doesn't scream a cohesive UI. I think that's the issue. Maybe that would look a little better. That doesn't really look good enough. It looks slapdash and crude. This might look a little better. That does look, I think, a little better, but it doesn't, I'm not feeling icon. I'm not feeling inventory space from this. Maybe it's just too small. What if I can make them bigger? Maybe if I made them bigger, that would make things a little bit better. Well, there's a couple things actually before I forget. Before I get too lost in the sauce, there's an issue here where items aren't being centered properly, so I have to fix that. And we will do that now because that could influence like the way things feel when I'm actually designing the UI. So let me take a look here and see if I can fix that. It shouldn't be too difficult. Yeah, see, it's off to the side. Why not do that? Let's take a look here. Elements, padding. Let's see. LX equals draw call, okay, times ESX. If I don't center things, let me just no center elements equals true. Okay, then it's correctly on the left side, so it must be in the centering logic. So let's take a look here. Total width is the element count. Total width is less than draw column LX plus equal this minus total width divided by 2. ESX size plus the padding. Let me see. Element width plus the padding. Hey, my head hurts. Yeah, there's more room to the right here. Let's see. Oh, I see. That's not. Yeah. So W minus total width. Because if I don't do anything, then they're not centered. Okay. So the total width, like in this case, this should be centered. I see, because it's adding the padding at the end. Oh, okay. So actually, this might be correct. It's just, this should be probably -1. Yeah. No, maybe, hold on. This, I don't think that's the right answer. Because this gives more padding on the right side. What we want to do is move this over. Basically, we want to disregard the padding on the right side. And disregard the padding on the bottom when it comes to centering. Okay, so can we just minus padding X? I think there's more room over here, right? That feels correct. Okay, so I think that that is roughly correct. If it is, then when we go back here, this should be... Yeah, it's not correct. It's not centered. This is supposed to be centered here. It's off, I believe. Do we even use padding here? Let's see. Display options. options header. Screen options header. Padding. If we don't use element padding, is that centered? It must be, right? Let's take a screenshot. Like it's gotta be, I think it's centered. Let's see. From here to here is 735 roughly. That's from the outer corner, outer side. From here to here is 735 roughly. Okay, so then yeah, it's centered. Okay, so this is centered. So now we can just do this and then see, do we get the same? Like, I feel like this is not centered, but if it isn't, it's close. Yeah, that doesn't feel centered. 687. Okay, yeah, I was like, it feels uncentered, but it's not super far off. Yeah. Okay, so it's like 100 pixels too far to the left. So let me take a look at this code again. It's off by a little bit. I think the issue is, if we have, let's say we have three items across. ESX is the size of the element plus the padding. So can't we just subtract the padding at the end? Isn't that it? Like, isn't it just this? Why was this incorrect? Oh, maybe this is correct. That feels correct. With the CRT on it, it looks a little, kind of goes a little crazy. Yeah, now they're centered. Okay. Now that they're centered, that doesn't look too bad. I think maybe I can make the icon backgrounds just larger. So instead of being 16 by 16, maybe they're 24 by 24. That alone might make a noticeable difference, because then the icons wouldn't be so, they wouldn't feel so tight. And if they don't feel so tight, then it just I think would look nicer. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm just going to leave it the way it is in terms of the graphic, and just turn this into a 3-patch, a 9-patch rather. So inventory. So stretch 9-patch. Okay, so it shouldn't look drastically different, but we want the elements to be 48 by 48 this time. Why does it look so much worse? Yeah, are we still using, let's see, 9-patch, 96, 16 by 16. Yeah, I guess that's right. Why is it look so bad? Let's see. Why does a 9-patch look so much worse than a normal image when we shouldn't be scaling any of it? That indicates that there's an issue with the 9-patch system to me. Because this should look the same. I think I see what it's probably doing. Yeah, I think it's doing some weird scaling stuff. So what we're gonna do I guess what we're going to do, we're just going to make a larger image. Okay. There's no reason to even start it. I know that it's incorrect. 0.96. It is 32 by 32 now. Right. Okay. 16. It is now 32. That's for the item icon. Okay. Right. So now we can say make this bigger, make the elements larger. Okay, all right. I'm just thinking. Let's get rid of the padding. Yeah, the 9 patch would work better here because then we could have more control over how the elements, how big the elements are and stuff. So I'm gonna actually fix this so that the 9 patch system works better, I think. Because this should not turn into this. These squircles, these odd shaped squares are just not quite correct. It should look like, it should basically just look like this. Like if I take this and split it up into an, oh no, if I split it up into a 9 patch, it is not like that. It is squircles. Yeah, exactly, squircles. That's why it looks weird, because this is one patch, this is one patch, that is one patch. So you're gonna get squircles because the corners get scaled up. Okay, so then maybe what I actually want is a 4 patch, something that basically turns this into this. That's just a normal image. Like that's. I'm just stretching the image. Why? Yeah, it's not a 9 patch. That's what it is. It's not a 9 patch. So if I make this into a 48 by 48 like that, now they're just bigger. Yeah, that's just. I just wanted them bigger. I don't know why I couldn't comprehend that. I wanted them bigger, and I wanted the icon to be smaller. That's what I wanted. Okay, so yeah, let's see if we can make the icon smaller. So to make the icon smaller, we can do this a couple of different ways. Well, I guess we could just do this one way, which is to make a layout modifier. Let me just set the draw call. Size to be 16 by 16. Or smaller. Why is it so much smaller? Ah, it's 48 by 48. Okay, so it should be 32 by 32, and then we also want to center it. Better, okay. Oh, but it's because the space is 48 by 48, so it should actually be 24. Divide by 2, so 12, maybe? Am I going crazy? Let's see. Better? I'm just 8? I'm just walking, I don't care, man. I'm just... just goblin code. I'm just like, just trying stuff. Okay, so how does this look? I feel like I like this more because there's enough space around the icon basically there's enough space around the cell for the icon to kind of like have a little wiggle room. And we're not even using the entire icon. Like we're not even using all this space. The icon should be able to be bigger. We should be able to have a larger thing here. Yeah, it should be something more like this actually. Okay, so well, we might want a little bit more room. Okay. Trying to just see what the balance looks like. Okay, so that's what. Let me get this label out the way. Don't really follow all that you're doing. I get the gist and not much else, but it looks really interesting. I've been following you since I found the master plan a few years ago, and your stuff is still super cool to see. Yo, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'm basically just making a game, and I'm doing GUI stuff. And so far it's shaping up. So far it's going okay. Technically, this is incorrect. But the GUI that I see right now is interesting. Oh, thanks. The movement looks incredible. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to get it nice and smooth rather. Oh, it's because I'm drawing too many. Well, even so, the issue that I'm running into now, this doesn't need to scroll. This shouldn't be scrolling. This should probably just be like, 16 cells of item slots. But I have the ability to scroll, which works automatically, and it's weird that it's scrolling this far over to the right because there shouldn't be any space to the right. Yeah, there shouldn't be any space to the right. Let me see. Yeah, this is more correct. Oh, is it because of the label? Is that why? Maybe that's why. Yeah, I think it's actually the label. I think that's what the issue is. Like if I don't have this. Yeah, now it doesn't scroll. Okay. Okay. So then we want to probably ignore some things when it comes to automatic scrolling. So how do we do that? Some things that we draw, we don't want to impact scrolling. Let me see. Current max rectangle. Ranger. I can maybe make it so that in a ranger. Well, there's a couple things I wanted to do layout. Okay, well, let me go over to GUI here. Layout modifier. I think I want to change this from layout modifier to maybe be called like arranger modifier, arrange modifier. Layout modifier, because it's modifying the layout. It's not modifying the layout, it's modifying the arrangement function. Arranger modifier. Position modifier, arranger modifier. Okay, let's try that. Okay. Right. So yeah, it's scrolling because of this text box. That's what the problem is. So what I'm thinking is I can maybe make it so that, go back over here. What I'm thinking is I could maybe make it so that all right, max here. Basically, when you draw something, yeah, when you draw something, the layout says, okay, how far did you draw something? How far did I draw something? I drew something 60 pixels to the right. Okay, so then my maximum rectangle is that big. And then it says I drew some more stuff. Oh, I drew something else that's 80 pixels more to the right. Okay, so then my maximum rectangle is 20 pixels more. And so once it does all this for all the things it draws, it knows how big it can scroll over. So, but not everything, you may not want to have things influence the ability to scroll. So a way to solve this would be for me to say, here we go. Yeah, one way to do this would be to basically make it so that this, I say like, influences scroll false. So I can basically set it so that when I draw something, I'm like, oh, hey, by the way, this doesn't influence the scroll. The alternative would be to set something on the inventory grid, like influence scroll false, and then set it back to be true. But I don't like that. That feels awkward. It feels easy to forget to re-enable. I think this is kind of like, it kind of makes sense because by default everything influences the scroll, but you can turn it off if you use an arranger modifier, or if you make an arranger that just turns it off. You can just make an arranger and just say like it positions and whatever, and then you just set the draw call. But now you can't do that for a custom arranger. No, yeah, you can. Okay. All right, that works. Yeah, that works. Okay. So we can work with this. So we just basically say if draw call dot influence scrolling. And then we go back over here. Scrolling. Okay. So by default, influence scrolling is true. But the arranger can set it later. If you were to make a custom arranger, or if you were to... I misspelled scrolling, by the way. You can make a custom arranger, or you can make an arrangement modifier that turns off scrolling. Okay. Yeah. All right, I think that should work. So now when we go back over here, influence scrolling is false. If the elements being drawn should influence scrolling or not. Okay, so if this is working correctly, then if we go back to the way this was set up previously, well, let's just make those changes. Okay, so if we go back to the way this was set up previously, where we're drawing 25 items, 5 items per row, we go back and look at the inventory, it scrolls over, and we have this extra space to the right because of this label. That's my current working theory. Extra space. But if we go down here and we say, influence scrolling is false. This might not be working. Let's see. I don't think do I do that for each of these? I don't think so. It should propagate. No, that's... I don't... Let me see. Okay, so nothing should be not influencing the scrolling here. Everything should be working correctly. Okay. But here, there should be something that doesn't influence the scrolling. Yeah, okay. Inventory item text box 0 and 1. That's correct. So then, what is influence the scrolling? Inventory button. Inventory buttons. Exit. Inventory button. Why does it scroll so far over to the right? If I don't have the label at all, does it change anything? Yeah, no, that's the correct distance it should scroll, basically. Yeah, that's pretty correct. So then, why does... Let's see. Okay. So here's the things that influence scrolling. The inventory buttons, the grid frame, and exit. Okay, so when I do this, inventory button, Reframe. Inventory item text box. Inventory item text box. This guy. Huh. So, so the items don't influence. So these guys don't, but the UI collection does. But we call draw. With the draw call. Oh. Where does the arrangement modifier come in? Let's see, UI collection. Fire set here. Draw. Okay, arrange or modifier. Okay, so then we add the elements. They get drawn. All right. Oh yeah, maybe this is. Maybe that's what we need to do because we. Spacing rect. Spacing rect is set. Current rect. Current max rect. Spacing rect. Influences scrolling. No, it's fine. Arrangement modifier happens in the draw function here. But it's not modifying the draw function. But it must modify the draw function. Whoops, draw function. Or no, I guess it doesn't. It just propagates it down. But the draw call is not modified there. Oh, okay. I'm thinking. So the issue that I'm running into right now is the draw call is a struct, just a plain struct that is being modified, is being modified and propagated down, but I need to actually see the result. I guess I could make a copy of it. It could be a pointer that I make a copy of. It could be a pointer I make a copy of for everything I propagate. Because then I can pass it to a draw function and then get the result back. Or I can make it so that the draw function returns the draw call, the modified draw call. You might as well just be a pointer at that point. So the draw function takes a pointer to a draw call like that. And so the draw call, it takes a pointer to the draw call. And then the item rect passes it. We don't change it. Range takes a pointer to the draw call. Okay, so something like this. Ranger full. Range function just takes a pointer to the draw call. Okay, so this is an idea. This is not supposed to return. That makes more sense. So we add it, we modify the draw call. Okay. That makes more sense because now, because if we're writing to it and getting the result back, it makes sense to just use a pointer. Now, if we ever, let's see, label has no graphics, right? No. Okay. The new default draw call can return a pointer like this. Not I mean, because, well, but now we're adding this to this. We're adding a pointer to this. We can't add it. We can't just pass a pointer to the. Yeah, we can't just pass a pointer. Because if we go back here, the reason why we're doing this is because here we want to be able to say, hey, this thing doesn't influence scrolling, whatever it is. Maybe it's the arrangement function, maybe it's an arrangement modifier on an individual item or set of items, but we want to be able to say these things don't influence the scrolling. They don't matter, basically. To do that, we need to be able to pass a draw call into the item being drawn and say, okay, this is what you need to draw and where you need to draw it, but the item needs to be able to say, no, I'm not drawing there. I'm actually drawing here and I'm not influencing the scrolling. And we need to be able to get that back and say, okay, what did it say, essentially? What did it do? What did it end up doing? This makes sense, but we're making a lot of pointers. We want to avoid making pointers. We want to rather make plain structs. That would be more performant. But it's not likely that you're going to have enough draw calls for this to matter. You're not going to draw 100, 1,000 UI elements. You're going to draw probably 30, 40 max, right? You have a list of items, maybe in a Final Fantasy type game, you would draw. I mean, you could have 100 slots or a couple hundred slots in a Final Fantasy type game. But it doesn't need to necessarily draw that stuff. Well, you're still creating the draw calls. So you're making a draw call. You're making 100, 500, yeah, let's say you have a 500 element list. I mean, but we could reuse draw calls every frame. We can make draw calls and pool them. That's true. So we wouldn't need to like make memory all the time. We just need to make memory the first time the draw calls are issued. That's a way around it. If we're modifying something in a function and then we're retrieving the modified version, it makes sense to make it a pointer because you're passing something in, it's being modified, and then you're looking at the result. So it makes sense to do it this way. This also means that it's a little bit simpler because now you don't have to return a draw call. You're just modifying a draw call, which looks a little better. What the heck? Okay, so let's walk through this and make these changes, and we'll see if this is drastically better. Okay. Now, when it comes to things that amass other things like this, we need to make a clone of the draw call, because we don't want a situation where a UI collection has a draw call. It makes, sets some properties. The first item modifies the draw call, and then the second item has the modified draw call, because the whole point is that they're shared. Like the elements all have the same draw properties. Like if you have a UI collection and is drawing, a background and a label, and the UI collection is red, you don't want the background to draw first, it to draw red, it to set its color to be like blue, and then the label to be blue. That doesn't make sense. Or I guess a more simple solution, a more simple, understandable thing is, you have a UI collection, it has a rectangle of 64 by 64, it draws a background that sets its rectangle to be 48 by 48. The label should still have 64 by 64. It shouldn't have 48 by 48. That is bad, right? Because it's like things are bleeding into other elements down the line. So we need to be able to clone a draw call for situations like this. Whenever we make, that's fine. Yeah, because we need to implement clone. Whenever we like do this kind of stuff where a draw call is shared across multiple UI elements, we need to clone that draw call. Okay, it's the draw func. Let's take a draw call. A pointer like that. Okay. Cool. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We need to clone it for UI collection. We need to clone it for this too, because a button has graphics. We need to clone it there. Cycle button, we need to do the same thing. Okay. Add button right. We want to do the same thing here. We clone the button left, and we want to clone it here. Make that in center. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm on the right track. I think I'm on the right track here. So we clone that. This is fine. Like this. This becomes a pointer. This goes down here. We clone it. Okay, cool. This goes down here. We set this up like this instead. Okay, cool. Now we go to the draw call. Okay, draw call is highlighted. This can be pointer. It doesn't have to be. It can be pointer. That's fine. And then we just say DC draw. Okay. So the instance should be the same, the color should be the same, the rectangle is the same, everything's the same, influence scrolling. Okay, cool. So that should work. So now this, we just alter this to take pointers now and not to return anything, which again is more comfortable, makes more sense because it doesn't make sense to return a different draw call. Okay. So let's see if this even runs. Okay. 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 Cool. Cool.
Okay, so we got pretty far. We got pretty far. Let's see. Influence interface is nil, not slider state. So add. So this calls draw. DC instance state, DC instance state. Okay, so here's this. Okay, what's the state looking like? All right, well, the state does exist. It's on the same first frame, huh? So it draws the stuff. Interface is nil, not a slider state. I think I'm not cloning something. I am not cloning something. This should be cloned. Okay, but why is the state being overwritten? Like why did this crash? It crashed because, let's see, background. This doesn't write anything to the state, right? Like draw never sends anything to DC instance state. Where does the instance get set? Instance gets set in the layout. This is it. If it doesn't exist, it creates an instance. Data. Okay, so ice. Okay, well let's see. Did that fix it? This is strange. Okay, well let's keep looking around. That all looks and works well. For some reason I'm skipping. Somehow I'm like getting this weird selection logic. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Okay, so this works. All right, let's go back to this. So when I have one slider value up, I can't move to that slider anymore, which implies to me that the highlighting logic is off. That implies to me that maybe the slider, like head, the head is using, let's see, we're cloning the draw call here. We're cloning it here. DC.rect. Oh,
that's, yeah, that we need to clone it first. Yeah, okay, so let's do something like that so it's more clear. Okay. So we have the background, we have the graphics, nothing else uses that. Okay, so this is something else, man. This is like my brain is like, so this, yeah. So basically the issue I think is that I was setting properties on the draw call without knowing it. Basically I was cloning after setting the properties. I need to clone it first, then set the properties, so I'm not modifying the original draw call. Okay, so button collection, let's see, so we're cloning here for each thing. Okay, we don't need to clone here. We only need to clone where there's multiple elements in one. So that's in collection, button, and cycle button, and UI slider. So this, a button just has graphics, that's all it has. Collection just has one set of elements. Custom draw does not. Color does not. Cycle button has several. So we're cloning this one, we're cloning this one, and then the body gets a clone. Okay. Image doesn't. Label doesn't, because there's no graphics for the label. It's text. Okay, and then slider has its graphics and its background. Okay. Man, this could have been way worse, dude. There in another timeline, I'm sitting here thinking, why doesn't this work for like another hour and a half? Like literally, it was pure chance that I was like, oh, that's the issue. Crazy. Just it feels like, oh man, I felt like I just like was playing Burnout in real life, man, where it's just like near miss, or it's just like there's a car like oncoming traffic and I'm just like like, oh hey, as it turns out I'm chilling. It's like how are you chilling? Okay, so that now we don't return this. This should work. That should work. Okay, we don't return this. Just directly modifying the draw call like that. Okay. There we go. That was my bad. Okay, so I think this should work. We don't return it. So, oh, okay. All right, so this should work. Game's running fine. We have our menu system. We can go to options. That still works. Okay, we have this working the way it should. Cool. Inventory. Beautiful. That's what we're looking for. So now this label does not influence the scrolling. That's it. That's why we did that. Okay, cool. Very cool. So now we can go back to element count 5. We can change this back to 4. Make this 16. So now we have these items to work with. Cool. The label should disappear. UI element if highlighted element is equal to nil, or highlighted element ID Oh, no way. I never exposed the elements. No, I did. It's a UI element instance. Okay, I guess that's weird. Okay, UI element instance ID. That's weird. UI ID. And then there we go. Or I guess maybe yeah. Okay, so now we can get the now we can get the ID. So, or the ID. So we want to know if we're highlighting an inventory button. If we are, then we can display the label. So that this displays like it should, but when we're down here, it doesn't. Very cool. That's what we're looking for. This is kind of offset. Let's see. Now this feels a little awkward. I can make it so that this does this, but that doesn't feel right. This is fine, I guess, for now. Okay, so minus. Okay, so this is here. So we want to cursor location. Oh. How do I not have a set center function? Center. Yeah. There we go. Cool. Better, better, better. Okay. So ooh, very nice. It's almost imperceptible, but the label gets stuck at the bottom because that's the bottom of this grid. So it no longer, it can't move any further down. Pretty nice. So what we're going to do, we're going to switch this up and say if cursor location dot y. I guess we just do like this. There we go. If cursor location dot y is greater, less than inventory grid rect center y. Okay, so if the cursor is above the midpoint, then the label is below. If it's yeah, if it's below, then it's above. Tasty. That's it. Button style. Quit button area. Here we go. With padding. Ah, okay, that's why. I was like, why does it look like that? Okay, with padding, make it a little smaller. This looks pretty good. Display options. A little bit of a different. I was just brain like melting. I'm like, how did I set the size? It's like, brother, you set the size right there. Uh, this is interesting. This is an interesting GUI system, man. What am I looking for here? Inventory. Main menu. Here we go. Element size. We can make these smaller, thinner. There we go. That's better. Beautiful. Okay. All that work just for a drop of blood. Or maybe more accurately, all those drops of blood just for that little amount of work. But yeah, this was fun. my head hurts. My head hurts, dude. I ate junk food and then ate ice cream and I'm crashing. Anyway, it wasn't ice cream. It was like frozen ice, but still. I gotta do more exercise. I gotta get healthier. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. It's been real. I've been Solar Loon. I think I'm gonna stop it here, and we'll pick it up Monday. Yeah, but this is shaping up. I'm really happy with this GUI system. Very good. Hope your head stops hurting. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very minor headache, but it still exists. It's been a cool watch. Yo, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, so this has been, yeah, GUI looks super clean. Thank you very much. Oh no, hold on, it's not being centered. This worked before I made any changes to the UI system, so this definitely should be working. Okay, let me check something real quick. Display options. Options header. Layouts. Okay, yeah, this is probably, I think I know what's going on. So what's going on here is once yeah, because hold on, because when you do this, because I basically made a system so that it new layout. This doesn't set the width and height. Hold on. Hold up. Let me check something real quick. A bug like that has got to be the worst thing to find when you're right about to end. Honestly, it's not the worst thing in the world because it is a bug due to I think it's a bug. I'm pretty sure it's a bug due to a change I made very recently. Slash, yeah, if it's not the best thing in the world to find, but at least it's a recent issue. Like this was working like yesterday, so I know. Okay, I know pretty much exactly what the issue is. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to solve it. So what I'm doing here, when I change the aspect ratio, I'm updating the camera size. And that also reinitializes GUI. with the new target width and texture, target texture, which should also, yeah, wipe the existing layouts. Ah, yeah. So now I need to do layout spring strings. I need to clear this. There we go. That's what that, I think that was the issue. Yep. So to describe what was going on, basically I have this system that allows you to make a layout set from strings. So you can say like, okay, I want, you know, a portion of my screen of my rectangle, whatever. Like you define a rectangle indicating the size, the overall size of a screen or an area, and then you can slice it up using characters. So you say like, okay, well, A is the top portion, and then B, all these B's are the middle portion, and then C is the bottom portion, and then you can they become layouts of their own. So when you look at the options area here, this screen is this. If I press F5, you can see his areas. A is this upper area, B is this middle area, and then C is the bottom area. And so that's what we have here, A, B, and C. So, but I don't want to have to parse this every time because I'm already caching the layouts that I create. So rather than parsing it every time, I'm like, okay, well, if you're using the same ID base, we'll just cache the ID base, the results. So that basically it's like, okay, you know, we go through this process where we're making layouts for the options area. We have A, B, and C, right? These three layouts, the header, body, and footer. Let's cache that so that the next frame, we don't actually need to do this again, where we're like looking through the string and, you know, determining how big the layouts are because this has already been set. This has already been determined. But when I implemented this, like when you reinitialize GUI with a different texture size, it should also clear the cache because the layouts should be differently sized. They should be recreated essentially, and that's what I forgot to do. So now this is working. Very cool. So yeah, nicely supporting 3 different screen resolutions: 16:9, 21:9 ultra wide, and 16:10 Steam Deck. Everyone loves it, love it, love it, love it. No. This is the main menu. This menu size is too thin, so it's scrolling, trying to like center both buttons. I should resolve this, but I'm just gonna fix this by making the menu size bigger or make the buttons thinner, whichever. Main menu is this guy. It's set here. Yeah, the element, like basically the game width divided by 4 is smaller than this, the element size. So we're just gonna make this a little thinner. We're gonna make these buttons thinner. Yeah. The proper solution would be to either turn off scrolling. Well, actually, you can see it here. If I switch it to 16:10, then you can see the main menu size is 192 here. But previously the buttons were 200 pixels wide. So that created an issue when on 16, like on 16:9, you get 213 pixels wide. On 21:9, you get 280 pixels wide, but on 16:10, you only have 192. So the buttons are not able to be seen in their entirety. So I guess what I can do, because just, you know, making it thinner, the menu seems a bit excited. Exactly. Making it a bit thinner does work, but it probably would be nice to have a better solution that maybe just centers the item if it cannot. Well, the scrolling system is something I want to revamp in general. So this is fine, I guess. This is fine. We're just going to give it a little bit more room. Or make the buttons smaller, rather. Make the buttons thinner. So on 16:10, it looks nice. Cool. All right. Very nice, very nice, very nice. I'm happy with that. Very cool. Something that I want to do that I have yet to do. Um, Sometimes you have games that have multi-page GUIs. Like for example, you click on options here, and a window opens on the right side with options, but these buttons still remain visible. I would like to implement some kind of system for that. Either implement a paging system where it's like only the active page, like a page can be active at one page can be active at any given time, or something like that. Because as you can see, my GUI system is essentially just each individual GUI thing is visible at any given time. Like you can make multiple GUI elements visible, but then you'd be able to jump between elements freely. So like if I had options on the right hand side, I could press right from this cell, from any of these cells, and jump over to that area. I may or may not want to do that. That's the thing. So maybe I could just make it so that layouts can be disabled at will. So you can say like, oh, disable, if I'm in this menu, for example. Actually, I'm gonna probably need to implement this system where when I press X here to click on it, well, I may not need to implement it, but I'm thinking when I press X here, it may be that it creates a menu that says like, use the item, or look at the item, or exit that little menu, and that menu may pop up here. And if I have that menu appear here and you can cycle through those options, then you obviously shouldn't be able to move back to this menu without selecting like exit from this menu. Let me see. I might have something that shows this. It may not work though. I have to take a look. Let me see. Let me see. This totally may not work. Let me see. Oh, I'm opening the wrong thing. This probably is not going to work, but let's take a look and see what happens if we try to run it. Oh, I have an executable. Let's tidy this, but I can probably run this executable. No way this is going to work. Yeah, no. But I can run the executable. So this is this is like such an incredible vibe. It's such an incredible vibe. There we go. Such an incredible vibe that I never this was something I was working on, like in a detective game where you're like this robot and you're like trying to solve a murder. And I implemented, as you can see, a very similar UI system. This is what I was talking about, where you have this UI system, this inventory system. You can select something and then you can choose to use it or examine it or cancel. I mean, this kind of thing where it's like, oh, you can't press left or right, you can't go back to the other window, is something that I need to implement or could implement in my new GUI system. But this is a cool, just incredible vibes game. I gotta work on this again, man. This looks absurd. It looks. I'm so like happy with the way this looks. Yeah. So this is cool, dude. Basically, it's like you're in like new Los Angeles, and you're trying to solve a murder, of course. It's my police badge as senior officer of the murder investigation unit at the New Angeles Police Department. I've been there for over 40 years, though it looks like it's gone by a blur. It feels like I just joined yesterday. DTCT. You can ask about stuff. Yeah, this was cool. I need to go back to this concept, but basically you're like investigating things at the stove. I mean, investigating things at the scene of the crime. I'm also just like, I'm really kind of pleased with the way this looks. Like it's kind of crazy because it looks 3D, but it's a 2D sprite, but it has a certain like three-dimensional shape to it that is very convincing to me. Like, let me see. I don't have the ability to turn on wireframe, but in this mode, in this depth texture mode, you can see, sorry that it's so visually like bright and garish, but you can see the way it's done is a flat plane, and then it's just a raised portion. So so it sells really well. This 2D character lying on the ground, a 3D shape, is kind of a weird combination where it feels three-dimensional despite the fact that it's a 2D plane. Very, very cool. Anyway, yeah, it's a really cool kind of 3D 2D. Yeah. So like that, I was like, how do I make it so that it feels like a guy laying down, but when you rotate the camera, obviously, he would just look like a flat plane. And then I'm like, wait, what if I made it a three-dimensional like protrusion? And it sells the effect extremely well. It's crazy. I honestly want to see more games with unique art styles like this. Yeah, I do. I think that not enough games do 2D and 3D. I use the DTCT unit. Yeah, not enough games do 2D, 3D. I gotta get my mouse cursor off the screen. 2D, 3D, gameplay or visuals. I think that a lot of games kind of, rely on 3D or 2D. But 2D, 2.5D is such a underutilized art style. It feels very Nintendo DS, very PlayStation 1, very easy to make while also being cool. Anyway, yeah. So that's the recent boom of HD 2D has been good, but few of them have been doing much with it. Yeah. Well, I do like HD 2D. I think that it does what it does very well. But I think a lot of, how do I say this? Maybe the fidelity kind of loses a little bit. I think that it's really good. I think it's a good update of the 2.5D style. But I think maybe the issue is they all tend to have the same perspective, the same camera perspective, like a side view from above perspective. So you don't really get the sense of depth that much. Like it's like Paper Mario, where the characters are two-dimensional and the world is 3D. And it's like, that's fine, but when you restrict the perspective and execute everything with such high fidelity, you don't really get the sense of the characters being 3D. And I think that that's kind of an element. And maybe they don't do that because the resolution's so high. So they're like, well, if the resolution's so high, you can't do 2D elements in a convincing 3D way, because it's HD. So that kind of changes the perspective. Mostly top down or side view is about all I've seen in HD 2D. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that they should definitely keep making them, keep making HD 2D games. Yeah, I think that I love to see them, but I do feel like they kind of don't do there's not a lot of situations where there's 2D elements apart from humans, and the humans are usually side perspective, like in traditional gameplay, except for I guess Dragon Quest, that was from behind. Like Live Alive kind of did it from different perspectives, but let me see. I'm trying to think of what it looks like in combat. Like, yeah, it's not bad, but it's like not bad, but I mean, it looks really good. It looks really good, but it does the Live a Live remake. Yeah. Like it looks really good, but it also kind of feels like, I want to see 2D objects apart from just people, I guess. It feels like everything is kind of just pixely, and then it's only the people that are two-dimensional. Everything else is 3D. And it's like, well, that's not bad, but it kind of feels like they could, embrace 2D a little bit more. Embrace the usage of 2D a little bit more and move the perspective a little bit more. Like the entire game is side view. You don't really have a lot of perspective shifts. It's like, yeah, that's pretty good, but it feels like, I guess I see what you mean. Like, it feels like they don't really have a whole, well, it's kind of weird because it feels like, I wouldn't say they don't have an idea of how to do it in 3D. Like, you know, the game all has to take place from a single perspective, but these characters have multiple angles. Like, they have, you know, a forward, back, or a top right, top, you know, they have different angles. So it's like, why can't they rotate the camera? I don't know. Why can't they use different field of views? It's just, I don't know. It feels a little strange. Not bad, but just like, yeah, they could do more. I think I see what you mean. I think I kind of agree that they could, like, you know, really lean in a little bit more to the three-dimensional world. It feels very diorama-like, very Paper Mario-like, which is fine for Paper Mario because it's supposed to be paper. This, it feels like they just didn't, they aren't really trying to do that much, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, happy to have solved all of those issues. Very cool, very happy, very, very, very good. I think that allowing for camera turning can go a long way towards making the world feel open, but that's not always what you want. Yeah, that's true. I think it depends on, there we go. I think it depends on a variety of things. It's like, well, you may not be able to turn the camera, or turning the camera may, you know, just fundamentally change, like you say, like you're saying, the way the game plays. Or, you know, there's things to consider beyond just, yeah, there's things to consider beyond just, whether you want it, because it does change the game. But at the same time, it feels like they could do more with 2D, I guess is the thing. Like, I like the pixel textures, but I wonder if they did the pixel textures because they didn't feel, well, I don't know. I'm not, I think that they pulled off the look very well. I think that it looks fantastic. I'm just wondering, like, why there's so few 2D elements in an HD 2D game. It's like only the people are 2D. And it's like, why not trees? Why not shrubs? Why not, you know, anything that is interesting, or anything that, you know, just multiple things. It feels like it's just kind of only characters. Anyway, yeah, I guess maybe I want to see more 2D elements. Maybe I want to see more movements on the camera. Maybe I want a lower resolution game. So I don't want an HD 2D game. I just want a 2.5D game. Not to say that I don't want an HD 2D game. It's just, in addition to HD 2D games, I want 2.5D games that are like, you know, when you have a lower resolution, you can mix 2D and 3D elements much more effectively, because perspective shifts are not as prevalent. So you can draw things that are 2D and have it look 3D, or have things that are 3D and have them look 2D. So you can do stuff like that when the resolution is low. But when the resolution's big, when you have, you know, HD, you know, 1080p, 1440p, 4K resolutions, then the discrepancy between a 2D plane and a 3D object is much more prevalent. So maybe that's what I'm thinking. Why not the background 2D and the foreground 3D? Art styles will always be on top. There's always more ideas to play with. Yeah, that's true. There's a lot that they could do. Yeah, background 2D, foreground 3D, 3D characters on a 2D background. That's interesting. That's like kind of like pre-rendered backgrounds, Resident Evil, Final Fantasy VII kind of thing. I'm just thinking. Anyway, it's been real. This has been real fun. A puppet show kind of aesthetic. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. Oh, that is interesting. Huh. That would be interesting. Yeah. I'm like, my brain is like chewing on that concept. That's very interesting. I could see like going into the background, and then the background maybe changes, or the background shifts and the character moves on the background in 2D. Like he moves like where he would be, you know, like there's no depth because it's a 2D background. That's interesting. There's a lot you could do. Yeah, there is a lot you could do. A puppet show. That's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. It's cool to think about. Yeah. But thank you very much for watching. It's been real. I'm happy with the progress I made on this, and I hope to get back to that detective game. That would be very cool. I think visually it was really coming together. But anyway, thank you for watching. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side next time. If you want to support development, please check out Master Plan on itch.io or on Steam. I will put out that update soon. Sorry again, just been sick. I got better, fortunately, but I've been sick. I got sick like 3 times for more than a week each time between late November and like end of December. So it was just like for like 20 days out of like 42, I was sick. But anyway, now I'm feeling better. I'm back to streaming, and I'll get that master plan update out soon. And I'll get GUI an update out for this real soon, maybe today or tomorrow or something. I can push out an update for this because I have it pretty good. If you want to check it out, go to github.com/solarloon/GUI, GOOEY. And thanks for watching. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you all. All right, I'll catch you guys on the flip side next time. See ya.